Once upon a time, nestled deep within the whispering woods where the leaves were known to share secrets, and the flowers could almost hum there, lived a young fox named Finley. Finley was a good little fox, but he had two rather big problems. The first was his very, very bushy tail. Oh, it was comically large, and it always seemed to drag in the dirt. When a simple leaf landed on his nose, sneeze, that tail would sweep up a cloud of dust that could confuse a bumblebee. And his second problem? A giant, unbounded curiosity. Finley wanted to know how everything worked. One bright, sunny morning, Finley's curious paw found something extraordinary near the silver stream. It wasn't a normal pebble. It shimmered with a soft, pulsing internal light. He leaned closer, marveling at its blue glow in the mud. He reached out to touch it, just to see what it was. Wait! Stop! Don't touch it! Finley jumped back in surprise. The streak of green was Pip, the speediest and most observant dragonfly in the woods. Pip was vibrating with excitement and alarm. "Oh, hello, Pip," Finley said politely. "I was just looking at this pretty stone." "Stone?" Pip buzzed, getting closer and flustered. "That is not a stone, Finley. That is a water jewel. And its light is fading fast. Look! Look at the silver stream. It's barely a silver trickle today. The magic is leaking out of the whispering woods," Pip explained frantically, "because the jewels are missing. If we don't find them all and put them back where they belong, the woods might stop whispering altogether." The forest's colors suddenly seemed a little dimmer to Finley. "We have to save it," he cried. Pip wasted no time. He led Finley, first-class explorer Finley, on his very first adventure, to the highest sun-basking rock. Pip sounded like a tiny, buzzy professor. "Okay, the first step to understanding where the stream went is learning the sky climb." He pointed a tiny dragonfly leg towards the muddy puddle. "Look closely. When the water gets nice and hot, like this puddle on a summer day, it gets too excited to stay on the ground. It turns into an invisible gas and starts traveling up to the sky. This is called evaporation. It's the water's great upward adventure." Finley watched, amazed, as the puddle almost completely disappeared. "Voila," Pip declared. As the last drop turned to vapor, there it was, the first missing water jewel. It pulsed with the warm light of the sun itself, safe in the dry mud. Finley's tail began to wag, a cloud of dust forgotten. It really does climb. Pip tucked the golden jewel safely into his tiny moss backpack, and they set off for their second destination, the cloudy peaks, where the air was always chilly and the sun rarely touched. When they finally arrived at the windy top, Finley shivered. "Brrr," he said, and when he let out a huff into the cold air, "Look," he cried, amazed. "I made a little cloud." Finley was staring at the foggy cloud he had made. Pip, slightly muffled from deep inside the cloud bank, laughed. "Exactly. That is the secret, Finley. All that invisible gas that evaporated from the hot ground, when it travels way up here into the cold sky, it stops being a gas. All the little vapor friends find each other," Pip explained from the fog, "and they huddle close together for warmth. That's what a cloud is, millions of tiny water droplets having a big group hug. This is called condensation." Pip was laughing as he emerged. And guess who I found having a cuddle inside the cloud? Pip had found it. The second water jewel, shining as cold and silver as moonlight itself. They were now halfway to saving the whispering woods. Their triumph was short-lived. As they traveled back down the mountain, the weather changed quickly. The air grew thick and heavy, and the bright sky turned a deep, deep purple. The rain arrived plip-plop-splash, all at once. Finley quickly huddled under a giant, protective burdock leaf next to Pip, who was already dry and safe. "Oh, ho!" "This is the grand finale," Pip cheered. "This is the moment the sky gives back." Pip continued to explain over the sudden downpour. "When that group hug in the sky gets too big and heavy, the cloud just can't hold all the water anymore. So the droplets fall all the way back down home. Sometimes they are rain, and sometimes they are snow or hail. But whatever it is, it always finds its way back to the earth. This big event is called precipitation." Finley didn't even have to search. The final water jewel, a jewel of pure, cool precipitation, fell right out of the purple sky into his waiting paws. Finley, Pip, and the three shining jewels rushed back to the banks of the sluggish, gray-silver stream. Finley placed the three jewels gently into the water. Instantly, the magic was restored. The stream erupted in brilliant turquoise light, transforming from a sluggish puddle back into a powerful, sparkling, rushing river. The whole forest seemed to saturate and become intensely bright and alive. Finley and Pip watched as the water journeyed forward. They knew it would travel down to the roots of the forest, and some of it would go all the way to the big blue ocean, ready to start the climb all over again the very next morning. Finley gave a thoughtful smile, and his bushy tail wagged contentedly. It never really leaves, does it? It just moves in a circle. It just changes its clothes to travel. Pip buzzed in a perfect circle around Finley's happy head. Exactly, Finley. That is the great cycle. The magic of the water cycle. And with their quest complete, the Whispering Woods felt a little greener, a little safer, and ready to share its secrets once more.